Looks like the EA buyout is now getting trendy, and the reason is because, well, besides of course the Dragon Age developers melting down, there's also Battlefield 6. And just like I said in my previous video, Battlefield 6 is EA's last hope. Battlefield 6 failed, it's gone. Now what's gonna happen after the buyout is another question, okay? Some people are hoping that Mass Effect 5 have to do well. If it failed, well, BioWare is done.
So your games. Guns and football, yes?
Mostly guns and football, yep.
No gay stuff? No politics we're not gonna like?
Haha, definitely not. Hey, could you give me 1 sec? I just need to shut down a studio real quick.
Oh, I love that joke. Okay, I think we already seen that, but I think Jonathan Zaz has more, but let's skip to this. Remember, I'm not gonna play all of it, play part by part, and then we'll skip to the meat and potato, okay? Well, the intro mostly.
The CEO of the company put out a statement trying to reassure people that EA's values haven't changed. He said, "Our values and our commitment to players and fans around the world remain unchanged. I am excited to continue as CEO, working alongside our leadership team to advance our strategy. United by our vision, we will deliver experiences that transcend platforms and empower players everywhere to create worlds, characters, and stories that are bold, interactive, and deeply connected." But of course, keep in mind that this is coming from the same jackass who thought that Dragon Age the Veilguard would have sold better if it was live service.
Nope. Look, for starters, I think the real question is, a game will be successful if it's a good game, at least playable. Look, it doesn't matter whether it's free to play, premium price. If the game is playable, meaning no bugs, no glitches, no nothing, then that is a good game. All Night Silk Song. Look, I'm still playing it, okay? And when I was playing it, no bugs, no glitches, okay? My laptop here, despite, if I had to make a guess, the RTX 3050 laptop version, is probably equivalent to the GTX 1660 or something powerful. I don't know. But when I run it, the game was smoothly, okay? Hollow Knight Silk Song. Well, for Lost Soul aside, there was still some issues that need to be fixed, mainly in the harbor section, but besides the point, okay?
Game devs out there who aren't taking this very well. Here's Kotaku, for example, whose headline says,
"The internet reacts to EA's $55 billion sale to some of the worst people around."
Just hook it to my veins!
But this article here from PC Gamer made me chuckle the hardest as they discuss a former BioWare writer, the guy responsible for Tosh in that game. He speculated that this sort of dialogue, which he was responsible for, will not be permissible in their games any longer.
She's still holding the ruby in her other hand. Maker's panties. I was so proud.
Oh,
shit. They're still holding it. Sorry.
Yeah.
These same activists were so thrilled when years ago we had crap like this, where they infested Battlefield 5, a World War II supposedly realistic shooter with female soldiers that had bionic arms and stupid shit like that.
They don't have
rewriting history in the name of feminism. They celebrated that. They thought it was so funny as they told us that gaming belongs to them now. But now the chuds get to laugh as the very DNA of EA gets replaced, bringing their house of cards crashing down.
That is correct. It's crashing down. How do you think SNK is still good? The person who bought it, the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince, he is a fan of that game, and he vows SNK, or in this case King of Fighters, to remain its original form. And I'm 100% certain many SNK characters haven't been censored, similar with the likes of the West, where many sexy female was censored. And I hope the Saudi Arabian prince can tell the difference between fiction and reality, which hopefully that is. For BioWare, or in this case Dragon Age or Mass Effect, to remain what it is, I mean, they can't keep the gay stuff, okay? But understand one thing. If you want to put that, it had to fit the settings, okay? Like Dragon Age, let's say LGBT content in Dragon Age, that's a dark fantasy, okay? Sure, you can argue it's a fantasy, but overall, it's a fantasy and real world doesn't exist on that one, okay? The non-binary thing, it doesn't exist.
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've had a lot of people tell me that they have been unwillingly unsubscribed to the channel, so make sure you check on that.
Subscribed.
And also, give me a follow over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster1. And if you feel like supporting the channel and helping keep the lights on, consider becoming a member for as little as $5 per month. But anyhow, let's take a look at what the journalists at PC Gamer had to say about the EA buyout.
Okay, first off, let's be clear one thing. Ask yourself this, how come every single time there's a layoff, these journalists keeps covering it, but when there's video game success, rarely any of them covers? I'm not joking, it happened. Look, Batman Wukong got 2 million players and sold 10 million copies. How come nobody covers that?
Well, gee, Doctor, it's funny to see these woke activists having a meltdown over this situation, but I don't actually think that Saudi Arabia being involved with EA is actually going to make things better. They might be censorious to the point that the games that they make are unplayable. And of course, that is absolutely a possibility. I wouldn't be shocked at all if EA ended up no better than they are now, or even worse, becoming lousy with even more microtransactions and that sort of shit. But really, most of the garbage produced by EA these days is already dead to me. So
right.
As far as I'm concerned, it really can't get any worse. So what do I care? I simply get to enjoy the fact that people who forcibly inserted their political shit in games and then spent years parading this fact around like a trophy, now they get to experience the anxiety of knowing that what they loved might be transformed into something unrecognizable. The shoe is on the other foot right now, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, hell yeah! Look, listen guys, you guys can have all this gay stuff and anything. The one thing, look, what gamers want is gameplay, okay? They want fun games. All these State of Play and Tokyo Game Show, they could at least showcase a little bit of gameplay. Look, we don't care about grass, we don't care about, oh, this person or anything. We just want to see, is the game fun? Can it be playable? That's the real question.
Before we read this article here from PC Gamer, keep in mind that this is the sort of crap that they were saying about Dragon Age the Veilguard a few months back. They really liked it, so that is who we are dealing with here. But anyhow, here is the PC Gamer article. It says, former BioWare lead writer reads the runes on EA Saudi deal and speculates that guns and football are in. Gay stuff is out, and the venerable RPG studio may be for the chop. And then in the byline there it says, who knows, maybe the Crown Prince is a big FemShep fan. And the Saudis won't be a big fan of that at all, will they?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he will be, maybe he will not. I hope the Saudi Crown Prince can distinguish between fantasy and reality. That's besides the point, okay? Look, don't forget, this is the Middle East, okay? They have laws that prohibit things like that. The gay stuff. Let me give you, for example, Marvel Spider-Man 2. How many gay stuff were removed when it sold in the Middle East? That was a lot.
They aren't gonna buy into your weird, woke utopia at all, will they? You know, for years we talked about how weird it was that the woke shitlibs out there simultaneously propped up LGBT culture while propping up Middle Eastern culture, as if they were both cornerstones of their ideology, but it was all BS, wasn't it? We told them that there would be conflicts between these two groups, and now the chickens are coming home to roost as they endure the Saudis taking over their beloved spaces. But the article says, the rumors have been swirling for a while before today brought a major industry announcement. EA has struck a $55 billion deal to go private in a Saudi-backed buyout. It's the biggest leveraged buyout in history, meaning that the new EA is instantly saddled with $20 billion of debt and will face intense pressure to crank those profits. And it's also the latest step in the Saudi Arabian investment fund's mission to sports wash the brutal regime by using its influence and ubiquity across entertainment industries to distract from some of the world's most appalling human rights abuses.
Human rights, okay, that thing has lost all its meaning, okay? Because nobody knows what human rights even means anymore. Doesn't apply to anybody. No more gay stuff? Well, that's good. Dragon Age should remain, or in this case, should return to the original. Although I have to say, it is gonna take time for them to clear out all the bloat. Even though the CEO says there won't be layoffs, if there were layoffs, to all developers who still attack gamers who think they're safe, well, don't blame the chuds or Dr. Disaster or anybody that you've been laid off, okay? It's not our fault, we're just reporting. You can get mad at the bigots all you want, told you time and time and again, yet you refuse to listen.
I've said this before, and I will say it again. Every time that we pointed out those abuses and said that what you guys believed, what you progressives believed, was not going to be compatible with Middle Eastern culture, these people, these progressives, ignored us and pretended that things were worse in the West so that they could score points against us. And now, pretending to care about what you're seeing over in Saudi Arabia, pretending now is utterly revealing of the lack of character that these shitlibs possess. But anyhow, reading on, the article says next, as the crack team at PCG Towers discussed the deal,
folks.
One line stuck with me. I wouldn't want to be sitting in a BioWare chair right now. The vibes around one of the all-time great RPG studios have not been good in recent years, and the fairly decent Dragon Age the Veilguard didn't persuade anyone that the studio is capable of surpassing contemporary greats like Baldur's Gate 3 or Disco Elysium. Earlier this year, the studio was apparently cut to the bone in a round of layoffs, though a new Mass Effect game remains in development for now. Everyone who's ever loved a BioWare game, which is surely an awful lot of us, is probably feeling quite gloomy about the studio's prospects. Yeah, speak for yourself, dude. I loved KOTOR. That is one of my favorite games of all time, and I loved the OG Dragon Age games and the OG Mass Effect games, but right now I am giddy at the thought that shit might change, because what's the worst that could happen?
That could be an understatement. Oh, which reminds me, to all my viewers here, what is your favorite Dragon Age games and your favorite Mass Effect game? List it in the comment. The question is, which would you prefer? Would you prefer to have the gay stuff and have the gameplay be terrible, the story terrible? Or would you have the Saudi Arabia, remove it, and have the gameplay be better, and the story itself be better? That's the question.
Games that they make, which are ass these days, will suddenly become even more ass? Is that the danger? Well, who gives a shit? But we'll keep reading. It says here, and that extends to former BioWare leads who are watching this acquisition and thinking pretty much what we're all thinking. It might not happen tomorrow, but this could be the death knell for the studio. Patrick Weeks, who goes by Trick Weeks, was a writer at BioWare from 2005 to 2025, working across various Mass Effect and Dragon Age titles, and was lead writer for Dragon Age the Veilguard. They recently took to Blue Sky, linking coverage of the EA Saudi deal alongside an imaginary conversation that goes like this. Buyers, so your games, guns and football, yes? EA. Mostly guns and football, yep. Buyers. No gay stuff? No politics we're not going to like? EA. Ha, definitely not. Hey, could you give me 1 sec? I just need to shut down a studio real quick. And if that happens, then so be it. Gamers always wanted you to stick to the guns and football, so to speak. Or in the case of Dragon Age, we wanted you to stick to swords and dragons.
And
but
dark
you refused to do it, you made it political, and when we said that it was, then you scoffed and mocked us and told us that we were bad people, and now that someone is buying EA, someone who is clearly going to be running it as a for-profit business, you are spooked because you know the truth. BioWare's current mode of operating is incompatible with a for-profit business. But let's read the rest of this. Weeks was one of those laid off at the start of the year, and so can afford to be frank, while anyone still at BioWare will no doubt be deleting all social media apps lest temptation win out. As for the fans, a quick look at the Mass Effect subreddit shows the top thread on the acquisition is called simply, "It's over, Commander," with seemingly every fan of the series bracing for bad news.
First off, sorry you had to hear my cup falling down. Don't worry, I've already drank some of it. Okay, first and foremost, really? Fans? How do you know there's fans? Every time there's criticism, you shove them aside. If there were fans of either Dragon Age or Mass Effect, you would have listened to criticism. You dismissed them entirely. So why is that? I don't see any fans. If there were fans, BioWare should have listened to feedback. Do they listen to feedback? Things like this? The story is bland or anything?
The only slight notes of positivity are those who think EA might sell BioWare, but honestly, who's lining up to buy a AAA studio that hasn't had a major hit since arguably Mass Effect 3? The EA Saudi deal was only announced today, and we're going to be watching the fallout from this for years to come. It doesn't bode well for fans of any EA series really, but for BioWare especially, this could be existential. Well, they brought it onto themselves. Rather than give fans what they want, they hollowed out what we loved and turned it into an LGBT soapbox. After all, Dragon Age just won the Game of the Year award at the Gaming Awards show. That is who they were trying to appeal to. But the complete failure of Dragon Age the Veilguard paints a pretty clear picture. This is not popular with gamers, only with activist journalist types, and that is why they are so nervous.
That is quite true. First off, good video. Now I think the first thing, which I don't know if the Saudi prince is okay or knows about this, but if the upcoming Dragon Age game doesn't have these kind of gay stuff, the journalists will not cover it. There'll be no coverage, which is why, starting from now, I implode every game developer to start using YouTubers only, okay? Don't use journalists, this kind of thing. Let's just say EA got bought out and they go private. All games from now on that has no gay stuff, the journalists such as IGN, Kotaku, they're not gonna cover it. 100% they will not cover it. I mean, they do, but they will give a low score. And that's one problem where many developers in the West, they wanted those awards. They don't want to see their points being reduced. They have no other choice. I think it's time from now on. It doesn't matter whether it's Capcom, Game Science. From now on, YouTubers are the new journalists. To all video game developers, if you want good coverage, you want honest feedback, doesn't matter whether it's performance issue or story issue, whatever it is, YouTubers are your only option. Journalists doesn't care. They don't care about your video games. And also, to all game developers, why on earth do you pick a reviewer who doesn't like your game? For example, why do you pick someone who wants to review a Sims game, or in this case a Sims game like Jurassic World, to a reviewer who plays what? RPGs or anything? Why? So that's a few things that need to be changed. Again, for this one, I'm a bit mixed on this, but for the gay stuff, I think as long as, and I do mean, as long as there is playable game and good story, then it's okay for me. And trust me, EA has a lot, and I do mean if this buyout goes through, there's a lot of bloat, a lot of them.